Did you just hear Deborah say, "Oh Lord"? So check it. So Pan-Africanism was intrinsic, right, to FELA's music and activism, right? Could you speak about Pan-Africanism and its relevance today, right? Because so many people be like, "Yeah, we Pan-Africans." We don't even know what they talking about, right? Or people be like, "Yo, we ain't Pan-Africans. We ain't even Africans," right? So can you? And there's not many people that I know that could spit it, that could talk about it, that can teach it, that could share it to this audience. So, the relevance.
Thank you so very much, Pete. I'm just in awe being up here with Sandraizsadore and Chuck D. Thank you all for being here as well. For my experience with FELA, I was on the continent for part of the time that FELA, when he first was really big, and it was like wildfire. Right? There was a point when he came to Ghana because it was a little too hot for him in Nigeria. I'm from Ghana originally, and we were living in Cote d'Ivoire at the time. But this idea of Pan-Africanism is an idea that comes out of a struggle for liberation. There's no need for Pan-Africanism other than the fact that we are oppressed, other than the fact that we are repressed by capitalism, by white supremacy, by anti-blackness that sought to take over our entire continent and control our peoples from now to eternity. Right? So Pan-Africanism is the weapon that we use to fight back against this. It's an idea that came from a lot of different people. Folks talk about Kwame Nkrumah, first president of Ghana, being the father of Pan-Africanism, and since I'm from Ghana, I got to go with that. We have W.B. Du Bois, who started off talking about the talented 10 and realized that, oh no, that's not going to work. Let's go to Africa. Right? George Padmore, Shirley Du Bois, right, and others, obviously picking up from Marcus Garvey, right, the great Marcus Garvey, and both of his fantastic wives, who both contributed to the work. And so Pan-Africanism was about looking at ourselves as a Pan-African people, as a connected people, in a way that we understood at that time, because that's how we came over here. That's how we were being oppressed. We could look and see who's on the ship. You look like me. We don't look like them. Okay, we need to be connected. Because people weren't all speaking English and French. We're speaking completely different languages that are not related. It's not like I can sit and talk to someone speaking Igbo and I understand them, I'm speaking Tree. No, there's no connection whatsoever. These are not French, Spanish, and Italian, right? But people understood clearly what was going on, and so organized ourselves in that way. And even after so-called emancipation occurred all over the world, and I say this because people think there weren't plantations on the continent, and there were. People act like somehow on the continent, everyone else was suffering around that diaspora on the continent, we were just part of it. We were not. We were colonized, and part of that colonization included enslavement, because that's what they do, right? And so it was a pushback against all of that, and a quest for freedom, for independence. After African people had been dragged into World War I by force, dragged into World War II by force, right? There was not a draft for white folks, but there was a draft for us, whether you wanted to go or not. My grandfather went. He didn't want to go, but he was forced to go. And that happened all over the continent, everywhere that ridiculous British crown considered itself to be in charge, as well as all the other colonizers. And so, when those folks came back, there was even a greater push after freeing people out of Auschwitz and other places to say, hey, why are we not free? And Pan-Africanism, in the way that we talk about it now, was born at that time. And so you have these new nations that come into being, and most of these new nations reject capitalism. They reject white supremacy. They reject this fight between the United States and the West and Russia, right? Or at that time, the Soviet Union. They want to be free and on their own terms. And FELA is like my father, coming up in this time period of being colonized and then pushing for freedom. And then he has his mother who's kick-ass, a freedom fighter from the beginning. But he's raised up like my father and all those other folks who are to speak a certain way, can't talk your language, speak the British English. All of them, just like Bob Marley, he's in a band in the beginning that's wearing like, ooh, baby, baby, you know what I mean? They're wearing like the black suits, right? And then frees himself, right? Frees himself and takes the rest of us with him in this journey into independence. with his music. And the connecting piece is the same piece that allowed the independence to happen, this Pan-Africanism. And so when he comes here, he'll sit with the sandraizsadore, right, and be willing to hear what she has to say in a way that is much more problematic today, right? Because today, people think they're fleeing Nigeria. They think they're fleeing Somalia. They think they're fleeing South Africa. They think they're fleeing their governments alone. And one thing we have to always remember about Fela, he always let us know it's not just the zombie. That these white folks, right, it's international teeth. They are the ones that find a dumb man, as he says, right, and put them in this position to be in charge of us. And so he had that clarity that we don't really have now. Right? And so we look at what happens on the continent and we blame the black people that are in charge. And I'm not saying that they should go scot-free, right? But in this world, crack cocaine allegedly was brought into this world by African Americans. We would think, and it's everywhere, it's in Brazil, right? It's all over the world. We would think it was ridiculous if people were like, let's blame the black people of America. We would say, wait a minute. There's conditions for this. There's reasons for this, right? And this is not just us. And we would talk about all the other instruments that had to come into play in order for this to happen. But we are quick to talk about black folks on the continent, the Caribbean, in a way in which they are the blame for all of the ills of their countries. And so Pan-Africanism is relevant because it reminds us that we is we, and they is they. And they did this to we, right? But also reminds us that we have weapons that are intrinsic to our DNA structure that allow us to push back. Vibranium is real and it's in us. And we know that. And Fela is a part of teaching us that. Pan-Africanism teaches us that. And so it's very much relevant today because we still need that Pan-Africanism to win.
Give it up, give it up. I don't know about y'all, but it's firing me. Can we say yeah, yeah? One more time. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to go back to Chuck real quick. We're going to come back this way. We're going to go
take a second, man.
I already know. Take your time. We all need a little time.
Right. Yeah, I got to take a second because, yeah, I think it's all there in a nutshell. It happened in Ghana a few times, Nigeria, and South Africa, and to seeing the pimp game still go on. And the Western influence, and now the Chinese are building all kinds of highways and roads and super infrastructure. It makes us say, tear down all borders everywhere. That's a little utopian. Borders, but borders are the cancer of civilization. And when you're in a plane and you happen to fly somewhere, you look down, you see no fonts, no letters, no spellings. You just see planet Earth, and to have that understanding and get back at least to that. We got to also know that there's going to be people who are there's going to be situations that are never going to be able to process what it takes. There's always going to be a core. Just like there's a core always making us say something that we end up saying, this is bullshit, right? But we can spell bullshit. Some people just feel it. It's like, damn, feeling this bullshit, but I don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed. That's why organizations count, no matter what, wherever you do. Organizations over individuals. And no matter what, I can't say no matter what organization. And I tell people all the time, LA Can is a situation, if you're LA Can. Okay, then I name a couple more organizations. And if you think you could go for Delph, as they say, then you're going to face opposition that you will not be able to even comprehend. And the reason is, I'll be quick on this, it's like, this is constant elevation. And it's simple why it's always constant elevation. Because new generations are born and old generations die off. And why you got to continue on the one and hit the stench so it doesn't spread or metastasize. It ain't about the individuals half the time. It's about nailing whatever they leave or whatever they say is the mantra. Or this is what makes a face from Charlottesville, Virginia, look similar to one 100 years ago, but they 20 years old. People are like, well, I thought we fixed this. I'm like, who's the we? Who's the we? We wasn't back then. We wasn't back in the 50s. I was born in 1960. I wasn't back in the 50s and 40s, and neither was some of the new crackers today that are creating so much havoc. These are new people, and we are new people. So we have to be able to come up with methods to extinguish the stench. All right. Anyway, I didn't mean that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. So check it.
Well, she just took me back to the land. So I mean, I was already. She said I'm from Ghana. I was sitting here in Ghana. You know. Notice I didn't go to Nigeria on this trip. I got to wait before you got to go to Nigeria. Like you got to
knuckle up.
Harlem, man. I mean, Nigeria's Harlem. You got to be ready. And it's made to be that. It's been made. Everything on the continent is made to have you go in there like, damn.
No, Nigeria has a sign that say enter at your own risk.
Yeah, they say, hey, you know what? We make world take, but then we take back the world, you know, so anyway.
So, here it is. Y'all make my job easy, right? Facilitate and make conversation easy. And this is easy, important conversation. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah.
Just really quick, before you pass it. And so, I started with a Nina Simone quote that said, you know, it's the artist's duty, right? Now, Chuck and I, some of the things that we always talk about, the one thing that always resonates with me and with Chuck, he's always like the role of the artist. His role as an artist is to point to things that are going on the ground, organization and local artists, right? He knows that this is his duty, right? He also, and I want you to share a little bit with you, Chuck. We were talking one day about the role of the DJ, about how important the DJ is, how the DJ becomes the time capsule, right? The DJ is that instrument or that tool. The crates is the tool that connects generations. And look, you like, yep, I can do that.
What Dr. Redmond did to open this up, that's what DJs used to do. She schooled the audience, and boom, if you came in and don't know a damn thing about FELA, she schooled you. A DJ would do it and try to pepper it in, do it fly, and play the joints and tell you what was. The radio jocks used to do it. And I ain't got to go back to the 60s and 50s. They used to do that with rap music in this town, just with K-Day. You know, like tell you and break the song and boom, 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 and other stations. You know, Stevie Wonder station and all that. Then they removed that for that's a whole other discussion. But the DJ, whether they DJing from the ones and the twos and breaking the songs in, they just said throw music at you. You can't throw music. You can't throw anything at somebody and then be respectful. You got to go like this. Here's music. Here. Present it. And that's the role of the DJ, because in those grooves of those records is a frozen slice of time that might change your life. You got to say, look, I got a life changer. And I'm going to present this like a life changer, which will flip your life. But, you know, over the last 30 years, they've realized the power in that. We're going to make DJs say nothing, talk about the weather and Subway sandwiches all goddamn day. And then we're going to make the music that they play.
The weather and Subway sandwiches.
The Subway sandwiches and the weather, okay? It's low, it's 66 degrees, barometric pressure. It's like, fuck, man. My daughter once said, Dad, what does playing music got to do with sandwiches? But it's stuck in my mind. But I'm saying that the power and the rhythms of just music in general, the vibrations normally come in on default and raise somebody up. So that's why you can kind of like pepper it with some I would say sonic cyanide. And I'm not even being, because art is subjective. Art is subjective. You know, you can say, oh, I like this. It's like almost like food. I like this. I don't like this. It's just that over a course of time, if you happen to eat the wrong foods, then, you know, there will be some kind of effects. And if you take it over a 20 or 25 year period, you're dealing with necro to dead. So I'm saying that it's all a systematic crumbling, but the DJ, once you emasculate the DJ, or I'm not saying it's a macho thing either, but once you just remove the DJ's purpose from moving the crowd with your mind, body, and your soul, then you got a husk, and you can fill a husk with anything. You can fill it up with anything. You got a carcass, and the beauty of when I was coming up is that you would listen to a DJ right? And the same thing here with people like Magnificent Montague that would play a song 8 times in a row and be like, oh no, y'all didn't get it? Here it go again. Things that you get fired for. And he got fired too back in the day, but he just jumped over to another station because they knew he was hot. But we had DJs that we grew up with that if that voice wasn't there telling you directly, that voice, man, it was like a uncle. And this is even the music. Like when we played Stevie Wonder or Nina Simone House, they was already aunts and uncles in the crib. Yeah, but they was like, you know what? Whether you like it or not, they aunts and uncles. Or, you know, when Aretha Franklin just transitioned, it's like everybody lost an auntie. So I mean, that was recognized. That was recognized. Oh, man, well, you know what? They, you know, that to take care of that. We want the next aunts and uncles not even to be considered aunts and uncles, and not even partners. We want them to kind of damn near be adversaries. And when they come out of it all, kind of confused on who's the ally and who's the adversary, this is a confused situation or a nation that we want. I mean, I ain't got to say anything. All you got to do is just, look, you could be half woke. You could be with your eyes glued together, your mind shut down, and turn on this madness right now. And the thing about it, don't lose hope, because look, we said this earlier, it's a passport to the world. You've got to connect yourself to the diaspora. And Africa is the whole entire diaspora with its motor and its hub kind of needing concern, but you got to know what's going on around the world and go back into Africa with something. You can't go into Africa and just like, I go there and I'm going to take away. It's been the refrigerator of the world too long. When somebody going to Africa. When you going to shop and fill up the fridge, dog, it's like, oh no, we're going to go to Africa, keep shopping. And when it's husked out and it's emptied out, then somebody else is going to go fill it up when you can't even get in the kitchen. So the last point I'm saying is that the diaspora, I firmly believe we people, and especially black folks in the United States of America, and notice I don't say we're Americans, because that's the same arrogance that you know, people think just because they here, nothing else counts. Like in Canada, so-called Canada, Central America, Caribbean, South America, ain't Americans. They're Americans too, and you got the audacity of people here. They're like, yeah, I got this, you know, the Spanish guy, right? Number one, call him Spanish, you know, doing the lawn, and yeah, he don't know no English, so he's a dumb motherfucker. I'm like, wait a minute, this person knows 2 languages, and you know half of it. So the future of our people in the world is not only our musical notes, but the ability to try to get back to know more than one language. And if you on a continent, whether you like it or not like it, yo man, the best MCs, rappers in the world, in the planet, I say this over and over, and people here, people anywhere, like, they don't get it, is in the continent of Africa. Yep. The best MCs I know are from Cape Town. I'm telling you, and then they got this thing going on where they click, they do the click, but they spit, they run. There's so many MCs and hip hop going on in Africa the last 25 years. But once again, if the education disconnects you from the diaspora or from Africa, how the hell you gonna think you're the best at anything? You ain't the best doing it, you ain't the best listening, you ain't the best dancing to it. But then again, shut the wall down, you'll never know that, and you arrogantly put yourself on top without even knowing the competition. And that's where we are right about now. How can we open up and engage upon this day being known by everyone? And like I said, yeah, it's a historical note, but it's in our pockets too. And it's in our pockets and the thing that we consider a toy more than a tool. And so, I'm just, by these stories, by these ladies, they're just blowing me away, because I'm like, yes, it's church for me. It's church right now. Sunday is a day I'm gonna probably go to St. Mattress.
So check it out. Pass that mic to this is so